I'm starting to think that it's okay to go to the movies and just have fun. All right, everybody. So, this is my review of Masters of the Universe, directed by Travis Knight. And for those of you who don't know, it's based on the Mattel toy line that later on became a cartoon, which I grew up absolutely loving to the point when the first live action version came out, I believe in 1987, with Dolph Lundgren and Courtney Cox, by the way, for you Friends fans out there. I watched it. I loved it. I still love it. I unapologetically enjoy watching that movie for all of its flaws and ridiculousness, which there are plenty moments of. But I continue to be a fan. I tried watching even the Netflix animated version that came out a few years ago. Didn't like it once I saw that the point of view is more based on Tila than it was on Adam and He-Man themselves. So I checked out. Now, I heard they were making another feature-length film, and okay, sure, this is Hollywood. This is what they do. You know, especially after Barbie came out, there's definitely going to be a push to make as many movies out of their toy lines as possible so they can continue, making that money. And I'm not hating on it, but I wasn't really expecting much. Then I saw that Travis Knight was going to direct it, and I'm actually a really big fan of Travis Knight. You know, I wouldn't put him up there in the upper echelons of directors, but he's absolutely competent at just making fun movies. I really enjoyed Bumblebee. I really liked, I think he did Rise of the Beast, the Transformers Rise of the Beasts. But he also did Kubo and the Two Strings and Coraline. So he's established. He knows what he's doing. He's incredibly competent. I just didn't think he was going to be this good. Now, the first act of the movie I thought dragged a little bit. It takes some time to put all the necessary pieces into place for the story. But it's basically a return to home story. Skeletor is basically about to completely take over Eternia, and when he is on the path, Adam's parents, and at this point Adam is a young boy, he is sent off to Earth so he can be safe and protected. And so he does that. He grows up remembering Eternia, remembering some of the people, and not perfectly, but he does have memories of these things. And he's also sent with his sword, which he loses along the way. When he finally finds the sword randomly, it kind of triggers everything to, all the action to begin. Tila gets involved. One of Skeletor's minions is also added to the equation. But then when they finally arrive back in Eternia, that's when everything just starts hitting and firing on all cylinders. And I was loving it. I was loving every minute of it. One of the things that I really appreciated was somehow, and Travis Knight is a great director, but I give him even more points when I was looking into it, and at last count, it was about 6 different writers for the script. And, it is true what they say, too many chefs can spoil the meal, and you can kind of see, at least I can see, where it almost goes off the rails, but it still works. He was able to very finely strike this balance between the campiness of the TV series, which is incredibly campy, and one of the reasons why I love it so much, and have it be grounded and serious and maybe overly earnest. It's a really, really great equilibrium that Travis Knight was able to achieve. To me, probably the moment that I enjoyed the most was, there is Adam with everyone that he remembers, and it's like he became a child in that moment where he doesn't remember their real names, but he remembered the name he gave them as a child. So it's like, this person has a big fist. That's Fisto. Oh, you ram things. You're Ram Man. So that was a nice little moment where even I, as a child, I became a kid all over again, kind of geeking out on all the people, that I remembered, playing with the toys on. And then I think the other part that I really enjoyed was Jared Leto as Skeletor. Skeletor is a very particular type of bad guy, especially when you think about him from the cartoon, because he's just really silly and really over the top. And you can even like go and look up on either TikTok or Reels or wherever, and you'll find some ridiculous things that the character was saying in the show. You know, and then you also kind of have the Frank Langella version of Skeletor from the original live action series with Dolph Lundgren, and he's very almost Shakespearean, but it works, and I dug it, and I still dig it. He kind of was able to do both, where he could be menacing and dramatic, and intimidating, but also like some slight, I wouldn't say light-hearted moments, but just less heavy moments. So there's like an ebb and flow to how the character comes off in the story. So I thought that was great. It borrowed a lot from different stories, once I started thinking about it, but I think in the right ways, So when they send Adam to Earth, reminded me of like actually two stories. There is the original Thor story from the comics where his father does send him to Earth and wipes his memory, so he doesn't remember that he's Thor. And then I kind of remembered that it was reminded of Superman, like in order to save you from the destruction that our world is going to experience, we're going to send you to Earth. So there were a couple moments of that, and of course with Skeletor, he takes over, and then everything turns to crap, and very much like Scar, does with the Pride Lands and Lion King. So there's a lot of like mix and match, but a lot of these tropes are just kind of, common story tropes that have been recycled and remixed, throughout the ages, So I wasn't really too mad at it. But everything was done incredibly well. I love the CGI spectacle of it all. The only down part of this, I thought, was a underutilization of Alison Brie's Evil Lynn. I thought she just wasn't given enough to do, and I think there was maybe a lost opportunity there, and I don't think there was much that was required, maybe a scene or two, to kind of deepen her character a little bit, to kind of justify her existence in the story, because really she just comes across as somebody that Skeletor is going to insult and abuse in some way, and I thought there was a chance there to like, enrich that character, maybe even that relationship. But when you have 6 writers, maybe certain things are going to get lost along the way. Either way, it's a great time. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you do and have a good time yourself. Anyways, those are my thoughts. What about you guys? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Smash that like button, click subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.